You're listening to episode 143, Emily's Story, Staying Organized as a Medical Parent. Hello, my friends. I'm so happy that you're here today. This is kind of a really fun episode for a couple reasons. One is that I have followed Emily, Tiny Tubby Shop, for a long time on Instagram and have always seen the amazing things she's created for kiddos with G-tubes and all the other accessories for medically complex parents. And she also has a new resource that she created and launched this summer, a medical compass guide for parents. So I'm talking with her a little bit about her experience and from the beginning of having a surprise NICU stay and what drew her to create a resource that she knows would serve other parents. She's also given us a discount code for this medical compass book. So it's basically a guide for parents to track so many things, and we'll get to that more. But I am so excited and honored to introduce you to Emily. Before we jump into the episode, I wanted to let you guys know that if you are a parent, a child life specialist, or professional working with children, you're going to want the hospital or physician's office or urgent care that you take your kids to have the Child Life On-Call app. It is an evidence-based tool designed to empower children and families during medical experiences. And 100% of the child life specialists who have used this app believe that it can help with expanding child life's reach beyond the bedside. And 100% of child life specialists believe it helps parents feel more empowered in their child's care. Learn how to get the Child Life On-Call app for your facility or doctor's office by going to childlifeoncall.com/partners.
My name is Emily Lemke. I am a rare disease parent and a medically complex mom. I'm also a social worker in clinical mental health. I live in California with my husband and my daughter, Nora, and I'm excited to be talking to you today.
Well, I'm excited to be talking to you too, because we've been following each other for a while on Instagram, and it's always nice to be able to put a face and a voice with the people that you're connecting with online. And I know you do so much for the medical mom community, so I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. But will you talk with us a little bit about your daughter and just kind of the beginning stages of finding out that something was going on?
Sure. I had a normal, healthy pregnancy, and then she was just born 2 months early. I had an emergency C-section, and they didn't really know what was going on. And then we did a really long NICU stay, and she had every test and specialist come by and visit with her, and it just was a really hard process. And she's 5 now. She's doing okay. But it was just a really difficult time in our life. We were in the NICU for 97 days, and I lived there with her for all that time. And I slept on the pull-out couch. Everyone will know what I'm talking about. And,
Yes.
I was there with her the whole time, and it was just really challenging.
So she came early, and it being your first baby, like you're just kind of thrown into it before you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're ever really ready, but you're thrown into it. And, a C-section can feel traumatic. And then it's like all of the things that you thought kind of at the beginning aren't really going as in your mind that you had maybe planned that they would go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Yes. Nothing was as we thought it would be. We were first-time parents. When we went on our hospital tour, we declined the tour of the NICU because we're like, we don't need that. No one plans to have a premature
Right.
baby or a medically complex baby. So, it was just a lot. She was in the NICU for a long time, and she came home from the NICU with a G-tube, and that was another big challenge. They handed me several shopping bags worth of supplies and a packet of paper 2 inches thick, and they had me sign something. And Nora had passed her car seat test, so she was in her car seat, waiting on the floor, and my husband was there, and the pole and the pump and all that stuff. Just they said, "Okay, bye. Take your stuff, go in the car." And we did. And it was a very scary car ride home. And she was supposed to eat every 3 hours in between. And it took us like an hour and a half to get ready to feed her. And then
Mm.
the feed would take that really long time. So it was just a lot of kind of coordinating and a lot of stress trying to figure out what it is we were supposed to be doing and what was the best thing to do for Nora. But we got through it. But that's how I started. Tiny Tubi Shop that was my first kind of project I did. Is I when Nora came home with her feeding tube, we were really nervous about her tube falling out. So I tried a couple different feeding tube belts that I found on Etsy or online, and nothing was working for her. She had a rash really bad, or she would sweat, or it would restrict her breathing, and it just wasn't working. So I started Tiny Tubie Shop, and I made her some little tubie belts. I call them Nora bands, and I just would bring Nora to the doctors and specialists, and like, wow, these are really great. So that was my first project. Is I started Tiny Tubie Shop, and I still make those, and you can find me online or on Instagram if you want to find me there. So that was one thing that I did for Nora.
I love that. I love the Nora bands. That's such a cute name.
Thank you.
There's two things like that I'm picking up on, and one is you hit it the nail on the head. Like that car seat study is like, okay, man, we are heading home. Once the car seat study is passed, it's like your discharge papers are so close, and you're like, this is the day we've been waiting for, and then it's really normal for like a feeling of dread to just like come over and be like, oh my gosh, we're going to be doing this on our own now. And this is what we've wanted. So why don't I feel joyful about it? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you had that experience, but I saw that a lot in the NICU.
Yeah, we were really excited about it, obviously, that she would be coming home. And we were excited. I was excited I could sleep in my own bed. And, but, we still felt so ill prepared to care for this tiny little person that we had. I mean, when she came home, she was probably only 6 pounds, which I know is like a typical baby weight. A baby could come home at 6 pounds, but for me, that was like still really small because she'd been attached
Totally.
to all these wires and everything. And now that she was wireless, we could take her
Mm.
wherever. But yeah, it was just really overwhelming and really scary to bring home this tiny little person who had been under constant care and constant watch by all of these professionals for her entire life. And for me to have someone there saying, yep, this is fine, you're doing it right, it was just really
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. I'm wondering too, I know you started Tiny Tubi Shop and you have this background of being a clinical social worker. And so something tells me you're a problem solver. Have you done like when you've had in your past life, pre Nora, um,
Yeah, it really is pre Nora.
it,
The end.
the pre Nora and the post Nora,
Yeah.
right? Did you have you found has this been a pattern for you that like you see a hole and you start to fill it, or was Nora really like the oh my gosh, there is a big hole, I need to figure out how to fill this?
I have always been a solutions focused type of person. If there is a system that isn't working correctly, I will try to just solve it. I love making charts and organizing and all of that kind of stuff. So I just try to find the most efficient and simplest way to do things. And um, I know how hard this is, but I love working with all of my Tiny Tubi Shop families and now my Medical Mama Compass families, just trying to help people live their best life with their medically complex child. It's so overwhelming. It's so difficult. It can be so challenging. It feels so isolating, so scary, but it's also so joyful. It's so wonderful. It's just amazing that we get to be with these kids and help them grow, and you can really see the progress. And the best part about being a medical mama or a to be mama or whatever kind of, complicated, rare disease medical mama you are, is that you get to see your children grow so much faster and so much better than um, a typical developing child. would grow. Like, you know, a typical developing child might take their first steps and, we're all really excited about it. But a medically complex child taking their first steps, that is really important. That is really big. They might not walk until they're 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 12. It just means so much more. And I think it's really valuable to get to work with all of these families.
Absolutely. Well, you have definitely come up with an exciting and engaging system for medical parents. And so, what did you take from your experience and what have you included it in the compass?
So, when you become a medical mama, you become a bookkeeper, a therapist, a nurse, an accountant, a respiratory therapist, a PT, OT, speech. There are so many responsibilities that crash into you in such a short period of time. And it is just so hard to juggle all of these new responsibilities on top of having a brand new member of your family. So, I just took all of these things that I've been using to keep myself organized, and these things that I've kind of been thinking about, and some things that I wish I had when Nora was little, to try to help, manage all of the new things. When you're a medical mama, you have all of these packages showing up at your door with equipment and formula and DME supplies. And you just have boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff, and you might not even know what it is or how it works or how to use it. You have all of these alarms and equipment that is beeping at you and alarming for no ungodly reason, and you cannot get it to stop.
That's so true.
There's so many new people you have to keep track of in your life. There's the doctors, there's the nurses, there's a specialist. You're going to have PT, OT, speech. You're going to have early intervention people. You might have special education people. There's just a lot more people in your orbit than there was before you had a medically complex child. And you are going to learn so much more about insurance and your policy and benefits and choosing a new policy and adding a family member. There's just so much to learn about insurance. And we haven't even talked about the number of appointments that you have to go to. So there's just a lot of things you have to think of. And there's a lot of things that are always happening in your life that I've tried to include here so that you can try to keep yourself organized. Because if organization is not your thing and keeping track of things is not your thing, that's okay. No judgment. But it's really difficult because there's a lot of stuff going on. So I knew there had to be a better way. I tried to organize it in a way that would cover all of these different areas and things that we're thinking about all the time. And I think that if someone would have handed me a book like this when I was in the NICU, I feel like I would have been more confident. I would have felt more in control about what I was going to have to do for Nora and all of the new challenges we would have to tackle together. And I've just tried to create this resource for families so they can use it if they think it would be helpful.
We'll be right back. Finding the right nutrition for your child that meets their needs can be a challenge for parents and clinicians alike, especially if your child or patient has food allergies or has a condition or illness. You want to feel good about the products you are selecting for your child. To me, finding products that are USDA organic, plant-based, and easily digestible is very important. When one of our very own mamas here at Child Life on Call was choosing nutrition for her sweet son who has complex medical needs, Kate Farms checked off all the boxes of things that were important to her. It is a choice that she felt good about. Kate Farms has outstanding customer service, which during the formula crisis put her at ease. Kate Farms is offering 15% off their products to Child Life On Call parents and professionals who go to their easy-to-navigate, no-fuss website, katefarms.com, and enter code CHILDLIFE. That's one word, CHILDLIFE. Kate Farms, www.katefarms.com, code CHILDLIFE. Code can be used for one purchase only and is valid through May 31st, 2023. Kate Farms is a paid sponsor of today's podcast. Half the battle when you're in the NICU and in that fight or flight is literally just staying awake and trying to organize your thoughts so that when undoubtedly you're least expecting it. The doctor walks in the room and is ready to have a very important conversation. You're like, oh my gosh, this is the time. I've been waiting for so long, and it's really difficult. So yeah, I can imagine that having something that walks you through. And so is this something that would apply to you while you're in the NICU and then post NICU, and you can keep with you
Yeah,
as your
you can
child
keep it with
grows?
you for sure. I have it organized by year. So right now I have an edition that goes through June 2023. The 2023 version from January to December, so a calendar year, is going to be out next month in October. So you can check my website if you're interested in that. But yes, I think if you want to start it in the NICU, that would be great. You can kind of keep track of all of the different things that are going on. Especially if your NICU is going to help you coordinate the aftercare plan, they help you get set up with all of the doctors and the specialists and your pediatrician and the therapist and everything. That would be really helpful because you could just keep track of it all in one place, and it would just keep going. Or you could use it in the NICU. You could use it after the NICU too. I've also had some older parents of medically complex children. Well, parents of older medically complex children say this has been really helpful for them too. So really, it would apply at all ages if you were interested in looking at it. I have had some parents just think it would be such a valuable resource for them, especially when they were starting out. So I'm interested to hear more feedback.
Can you give me your 5 tips for staying organized for medical moms?
Sure. So I'd say one of the first tips would be to document everything. This helps with advocacy in so many ways, and I know that we are all about advocacy as medically complex parents. So it helps with advocating in the doctor's office. It helps with insurance and insurance calls, and also it helps with your own sanity. Just so you're able to keep track of different things. You can document new and ongoing symptoms. Pinpoint when things started increasing or when things started to change. You can look for different patterns or concurrent changes. And then also billing and insurance can help you build a record of attempts and payments. We've been going back and forth with one hospital for a bill that is like 4 or 5 years old for $200, which I swear I have already paid. So we just keep going back and forth, and I just keep reading them the same thing over and over
Oh.
again, and then they leave me alone for 6 months, and then they call me again. But it's important to just keep track of everything.
Oh gosh, you know what? You're so right. Like sometimes it's worth the fight. Like even if you have to just keep doing it because you're right.
Right. Like I know it's $200. Like it's not, $60,000 like some people will end up getting after one day in the NICU. But yeah, no, I'm right. I know I already paid it.
Absolutely.
Okay, the second tip would be to keep track of your child's progress, no matter how small. Measure all of those inch stones any way that they come. When Nora was in the NICU, I had a running list of things in my phone, just in the Notes app, and it's titled Positive Nora Things. And I tried to look at it every day and add to it. And I used it as a way to keep my own emotions in check when everything was just complete chaos and spiraling all around me. And it's just a list of things she was able to do successfully in the NICU at that time. So I just looked at it when I was trying to prep for this podcast. But it's from when she was like 2 or 3 weeks old. And I have one of the things was I have in really big letters, it says, she pooped today. So you know what? It can be
I
anything.
love it.
It can be anything.
We love a poop
Yeah.
when it's intended and we need it
Right.
for sure.
Right. So I was really excited about that apparently, but it just helps to keep all of those inch stones in check because as medical parents, we don't know how often those inch stones are going to come. So you have to savor each one. The third tip would be to ask a lot of questions and make sure that you understand all of the answers. So if doctors are asking you questions or explaining something to you, make sure you ask and understand what's going on. And I know that can seem hard sometimes because, some people get intimidated with talking to medical professionals because they are medical professionals, but just keep asking the same question. And even if they're getting annoyed with you, just remember that your child is sitting right there and you need to know the answer. So just got to figure out why you're sending me to more doctors. Why does my child need more tests? Why do we need more referrals? Why do I have to go see this specialist versus this other specialist? especially when it comes to procedures or outcomes or healing time or recovery time or restrictions. Just make sure you're asking all of these questions so that you can figure out what would be the best course of action for your child. Like, why are they happening? How is this all connected? What's the big picture? And how can this help my child? The fourth one would be to try to keep a big picture view as much as possible. I have in the Compass, I have some monthly trackers, which I think are really great to kind of keep a big picture view because you can see the whole year on one page. So, you can't expect for things to work overnight. So try to look at how the weeks and the months all work together. But the trackers really help with finding new symptoms or different changes in your child's health, different medications that you've tried, different interventions, different specialists, all that kind of stuff. So you can see all the changes in real time over the course of the year and just trying to keep that big picture view. And I know it is so hard to keep a big picture view when you're in the minutia of your medically complex child, like dealing with the day-to-day, but that's one thing. And then the last thing would be to take care of yourself as a medical mama. Medically complex and rare parenting is a marathon. It is not a sprint. When Nora was born and she was in the NICU and seeing every specialist under the sun, I did not know how to take care of myself. And I felt like I was in a prolonged crisis the entire time. And I was a therapist myself. So I should have been really great at coping skills and keeping myself sane and working through different problems and being able to calm myself. But I found out I did not. So I was spiraling while I was there. It was really hard. But as the days went by, she got better. I felt better about myself. But I think that it's important for everyone to try to build up some coping skills and relaxation skills ahead of time. And this might not be a popular opinion, but I think all pregnant people should try to envision themselves having an emergency delivery, having to be in the NICU for a prolonged period of time, and just picturing your worst case scenario. Anyone can become disabled at any time, and it can be really challenging if you're not prepared for it emotionally. We had no reason to think anything would be different or challenging with Nora. I had a fairly normal pregnancy up until like 20 weeks or so. So I just think it's important for people to try to take care of yourself and find those coping skills that'll work for you when you're going to be at your worst. I also have in the Compass, I have a few different things focused just on medical mama health. So I have a spot for you to check off the medicine, like a spot for mamas to check off their medications for the day or their vitamins for the day, because that's an important way, an important and easy way that you could take care of yourself. I also have space to measure stress and energy levels for each day. You can use it to track your water intake or exercise or whatever you'd like. And then there's also space for you to do goals and how to nurture yourself over the course of the week so that you can take care of yourself and be the best mom you can. I'd really try to focus on taking care of yourself so you can take care of your family. Because I know us moms, I mean, there's dads too, but us moms are the backbone of the family. And if we fall apart, then there's not going to be anyone there to take care of the kids. So those are my 5 tips.
I love that. Yeah, I think that self-care one is so important. And the vitamin one is easy, especially when it tastes good and you get a gummy vitamin and then you just really get to enjoy it. I'm sure they don't work as well, but it's the only way that I'll remember to take my vitamins. But
right.
Thank you so much for speaking from your own experience too. And I think, like we say, I loved your tip about envisioning yourself in the NICU, whether or not it's an unpopular opinion. I think it can be helpful because you can kind of go through your game plan. I always say you can't cope with something if you don't know what's going to happen. And so when on just my personal example in child life, when we throw kids into a procedure without telling them how they're going to get through it, how can we expect them to get through it? So, I'm all about that whole preparation, and that vision piece is really important. So thank you for bringing that up. We'll be right back. If you have ever wondered where you could get those cloth dolls that Child Life Specialist use with kids for medical education or sending home to siblings or to draw on for therapeutic activities, then you don't have to wonder any longer, because our friends at Smile Makers have decided to now sell these amazing cloth dolls for a very affordable price. I know that when I was in the hospital, I would have to rely on a volunteer network to then give us the dolls, which was really nice, but I had to wait a lot of times. Like, I would need a doll now and I wasn't able to get it. So this is a great place to be able to go get your procedure dolls at smilemakers.com. And y'all, they have 3 different skin tones for these cloth procedure dolls. In addition, you can actually buy a procedure doll prep bundle that comes with fabric markers. This is a fabulous way to do your medical teaching, to help siblings feel involved, to get kids creative, to do a lot of teaching about different diagnoses. And so go to smilemakers.com so you can get your cloth dolls as soon as possible before they run out. And when you go to that checkout to get your cloth dolls, also type in OnCall20 and you will get 20% off your entire order. So not just the cloth dolls. So if you get a bundle for Child Life Specialists, if you get a piece of furniture, if you get one of their really cool toys and prizes, or you order a large sticker order from them, OnCall20 gets you 20% off your whole order. That's smilemakers.com, code OnCall20 to get 20% off. I always love asking the question to, the pre-Nora and the post-Nora. If you could describe, something that she has taught you about yourself, maybe something that you didn't know, what she's taught you through this experience of becoming her mom, what would that be?
I would say Nora has taught me that I could do anything. I have learned so much from Nora, and because of Nora, I taught myself to sew. I figured out this business. I've just figured out so many things because of Nora, and I wouldn't have done any of this. If I had a typical baby, I wouldn't have learned any of this stuff. I would still be a social worker and she would be in daycare all the time, and I wouldn't have these opportunities to watch her grow the way she has. I wouldn't be there for her taking her first steps when she was much older than she should, or learning to talk much older than she should, is what's usually expected. I've just learned so much from her because she's made me learn things about myself that I didn't even know I had in there, like this kind of crafty side and this sewing side of myself, or this entrepreneurial side.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was in there. So I'm just really grateful for her for teaching me that.
I know, it's amazing. It's like as exhausted as we can feel as parents, and then even more so when you're a medical parent. It's like you still have this internal energy, this flame that your child has given you that's hard, and it keeps you going and it keeps you learning. And it's pretty incredible that you can be the most tired you've ever been in addition to the most motivated you've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Well, if people want to follow along with you, learn how to get one of these medical compass books, what's the best way for them to do it?
Listeners can find Tiny Tubi Shop on Etsy, Instagram, and Facebook. I make everything from non-slip Tubi belts in all sizes, infant to adult. I've had a lot of adult clients lately. To emergency Tubi repair pouches, medical mama stickers, keychains, swaddles. I do custom orders and more. You can find me on Etsy, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also find the Medical Mama Compass on themedicalmamacompass.com, or I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. And then I'm also like to offer your listeners 15% off the Medical Mama Compass with the code CLOC15 at themedicalmamacompass.com. And then lastly, if you are a hospital or a NICU or a medically complex doctor's office or specialist office or a foundation or something like that, anyone who'd like to learn more about how the compass can help you and your families, you can get in touch with me, and I would love to partner with you. I do bulk pricing tiers for orders of 10 books or more. So if that's something you wanted to include in a giveaway bag or a care package for NICU families, I would love to partner with you. And I hope to be in touch. Happy to help.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful to learn more about you and Nora and all that you've created. And it's amazing to be giving back. When you yourself wish you would have had something, I think that's what's most meaningful, is that it would have helped you, and now you get to watch it help other families. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining us on the Child Life On Call podcast. The only reason this podcast keeps on going is because of you and listeners like you. So please join in on the conversation with us on Instagram, Facebook. I'm even on TikTok now, y'all, making a fool of myself. I haven't danced yet, but maybe it's coming. You can find us at Child Life On Call. We also have a website, and that has all of our information about the Child Life Circle, about the Child Life On Call app, and a blog with new information all the time. That's childlifeoncall.com. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for listening to these episodes and being a part of this community. We are so grateful and so honored to be able to provide this for you.